Everybody's talking about what President Trump has recently said in an announcement. And if you've been in trucking for any length of time, you've heard announcements like this before. You've heard this time and time over time. Things are going to change. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. Well, let's see what you think about this.
Will soon take historic action to get illegal alien truck drivers who are just killing a lot of people. They can't read signs. Many of them are on drugs or alcohol, and they shouldn't be driving these things. And they came in totally illegally, and we don't want them. But we're going to replace them with proud American veterans. So we're going to take our veterans. We're going to teach them a lot about driving trucks, and in many cases they know. We're going to say any American who's driven a heavy truck for our military will automatically be eligible for a commercial driver's license. So we're going to get them taken care of.
Now I join everybody in saying that veterans need our support for any and all new opportunities. That's great. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But I'm interested in something else. Something else probably a lot of us are thinking about and probably want to know. And that is what happens next. Because when you think about it, a lot of promises are being made and what's recently been shown and talked about. If I can get the darn things to show up right. There we go. So prior to doing what this clip just talked about, and before we start pointing our fingers, let's move past this headline and go right to the front lines. See, we can watch the fanfare and we can listen to the song and dance all day long. At the end of the day, if these changes are going to mean something for you and me and everybody in trucking, something has to make them happen. So what I want to do tonight is go over a few things I've seen and a few things I've heard. I want to find out from you what you think about all of this. And let's take and put together everything that's been said and shown and talk about it tonight. I want to hear from you about everything going on here on the front lines of trucking. Don't have my Stream Deck, so everything is working in slow motion tonight.
We belong to life, the strength of wrong versus right. We belong to truth, found on the front line.
We don't do it just for us and our families, we do it for you guys.
Welcome one and all to the brand new Trucking Frontlines, a show where conversation is what helps make trucking great again. I'm Boss Man. I'm the founder of Your Place, where your voice gets heard. Just moving forward, I want to just let you know quickly what we're looking at is a kind of show reset. And this used to be a lot different than it is now, but I want to build on it, make it better. And I want to do so in a way that actually helps you guys. It's real easy to come up here and talk about news stories. It's real easy to talk about my opinion, but it's another entirely to be known on the platform as a place where your voice counts. And the way I do that is I integrate what you put in the comments. I make part of each of my videos what you say. So I don't just say it because it's an interesting tagline. I say it because I mean it. And I want you guys to know I'm serious. So coming up in the future, I'm going to be integrating a lot more of the content on this channel in just that way. So make sure you leave your comments. Make sure if I put up a link, you click it because it leads you to be on this show and let your voice be heard, just like a good news show should be. So let's move on. You know, over the past several weeks, we've spent a lot of time talking about undocumented drivers, driver qualifications, licensing, and the responsibility that comes with putting an 80,000-pound truck on America's highways. Now, whether you agree with the administration's take, President Trump, Tom Homan, Sean Duffy, any of them, something caught my attention. A conversation seems to be changing just a little bit. And I want to see if you've noticed exactly what I've seen and heard. Instead of hearing only about who's here illegally or who shouldn't be behind the wheel, we're beginning to hear about another ideal emerge. The administration is talking about veterans now. They're talking about rebuilding parts of the workforce with men and women who've already demonstrated discipline. They've already displayed it because they're shown to be ideal for service to the country. Now that raises a few questions for me. Simply, is this another campaign promise, or are we watching the beginning of an actually physically different approach to solving a problem we've been talking about for the past 3-4 years? And if this if this vision that they're putting through actually begins to take shape, what do you guys think that means for people like you and me, and those being hired and put into this industry? More importantly, what does it do for you watching this show right now? Before we go any further, I want you to hear from someone who's expected to play a major role in carrying out these policies. I want you to listen carefully, not just to what's being said, but also what it could mean for the industry moving forward.
A semi-truck crash involving an illegal alien putting immigrant CDLs right back in the spotlight. Michael Bond, an illegal immigrant from Haiti, was arrested last week for a crash that killed a Pennsylvania state trooper. Bond has been charged with vehicular homicide and involuntary manslaughter, amongst other charges. Now, ICE says it lodged a detainer to keep him in jail. So here's what the Department of Transportation said. Department issued a final rule stopping unqualified and unvetted foreign drivers from obtaining licenses to drive commercial trucks and buses. States that operate recklessly and fail to enforce our common sense rules will be held accountable. And if you could pull up call for number 4, please. These are other incidents. I'm just going to put them up on the screen for people to see that have similar story. You're trying to stamp it out. Tell us where we are on that.
Now, if you listen carefully, you heard a lot about the
DHS is working hand in
and
hand with
what they
Sean
want
Duffy and his department.
The vision's one thing, but the execution is something different entirely. And that's where my mind starts asking questions. See if this works right. It does. God bless me. Question I'm asking is, and I'm losing my spot here. My computer is completely going nuts. All right. One thing that's really caught my attention is what's happening in Washington. It's what we're starting to hear from the states. It's what was brought up in that news clip a second ago. When we're starting to hear from more of the states, it's kind of like highlighted in that clip I just showed. I'm going to play it here in just a minute. Now, I don't know if you're watching and seeing the same thing I am, but if these changes are ever going to really come to reality, they won't happen from a podium or from a news clip. They're going to happen because the greater public wants it to happen. Think about what we've been seeing over the last year or so. More and more states have been arguing that they think their way is better than the federal government. And they're saying it based on the fact that they've got a huge population of people they want to protect. They say it's their citizens. They blanket it with that, when in actuality, there's other things in play. And I want you to tell me in the comments if you think there's any certainty in that. What you think is really going on. Because part of the rest of this news clip I'm about to play, we're going to be talking about is individual states' perspective on why they've done what they've done in the past. And it kind of sets the stage for what I think is going to happen in the future. And that's this whole division between what the definition of a sanctuary state is versus one that's not. So let's bring that into the discussion. Let's wrap this up and see what you guys think.
So the problem is we're working very well with red states. Blue states is still a struggle, right? Places like New York, I mean, ICE and CBP can't even get access to the DMV database to run the checks. So, you know, the continuation of sanctuary states, sanctuary cities, you know, thank God, you know, Todd Blanche is suing these cities as they come up, and we got to keep suing them. But we're out there, you know, Dana enforcing law. We're out there looking for these illegal alien CDLs. In the last 5 days, ICE has arrested over 10,000 illegal aliens, which is a record for the agency.
Now think about that part for just a moment. Now let's bring this full circle. They start from the states themselves, where drivers are tested, where carriers recruit from, and where enforcement officers should be stopping the problems entirely. That's why I think this conversation belongs to all of us watching. Every one of you watching tonight lives in a different state, and you have a different government. You deal with different licensing offices that all have individual rules that govern slightly different than the state next to you. So let me ask you, where you sit and where you live, what are you seeing? Let us know here as we check with our panel and you in the audience and review your thoughts. I want to know, is this approach Tom Homan is suggesting really going to make a difference, or is it going to be more of the same? So let's see. Grumpy, realistically and recently, Oklahoma has taken one hell of a huge jump into dealing with the issue of illegal drivers. If you like, I'd certainly like to give you an opportunity to refresh everyone in the audience how that's actually happened, what some of the things you've seen going on in your state, and beyond that, what difference you've seen it make in the state of Oklahoma.
Well, they have been cracking down with ICE. They've actually, I believe, put in a kind of like a concentration camp for them, I guess is what they'd be considered. It's basically a detainment, and they placed that over in Oklahoma City from the last I heard. They set up, I think it was earlier this year, or it might have been the latter part of last year, and they caught close to 200 and some illegals that they took off the road. So that was a big thing, you know. I mean, it's helping, but I don't understand basically how it's going to help us drivers ourselves. It's more of a hassle than anything, if you ask me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've noticed a lot of different things happening in the state of Oklahoma, and state's not far from you. You know, they're really pushing and clamping down, and it seems like they're trying to make a big statement, but I don't know what other channels and what other sources for your news you get. But I recently saw another creator talking about a foreign driver whose mission it was to brag about the fact that he can get away with whatever he wanted. The guy was literally filmed driving halfway through the state without stopping at one way station. And I thought that was particularly interesting. Now,
Mhm,
I
I
mention
remember
it
seeing that one.
because it's something being on, on social media, but at the same time, I don't think it was Oklahoma. Um, I think it was another state, as I
Oh,
recall.
it was Oklahoma.
Was it?
He managed. Yeah,
I
he
wasn't
managed
sure, so
to.
I wasn't going to say one way or the other.
He
You
managed to
know?
get all the way. He was trying to go around the scales and wound up went bypassed one, and there was a deal where he was talking in his language, and he had to decipher it, and some of it was like he was just like making fun of the state, and he cruised on until he got off of an exit ramp and was trying to take the old 66 highway and got caught. Now,
Oh,
what
is that
happened
what?
after that, I don't know. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
exactly what happened.
Yeah, I wasn't sure how that worked out, but
Yep.
okay. Let me bring on our next guest. Let me see what he thinks from his state's perspective. So, Thumper, welcome to the show this evening. Glad to have you with us tonight.
Hey,
What have you seen from the state where you reside in, and tell us what do you think of Tom Homan's assessment of states?
my state is not a good example for immigrants or illegals.
Okay,
And I'm just gonna leave it at that. Minnesota is one of the worst states out there for. I mean, half the state, Minneapolis, Rochester, all of them, they're all, you know, it's all immigrants. The governor we have sucks. So
right,
and I shouldn't say immigrants, illegals, aliens, whatever you want to call them. They kind of get away with whatever they want, and they do whatever they want.
right.
So, no, my state for this conversation, no, it's not even worth bringing up.
Do you think they've become even slightly more focused on at least qualifying drivers differently?
No,
No.
no.
All
There's
right. Well,
people that there's some people in Minnesota that I know personally that should never have a CDL and they have it. And
well,
that's not being racist, that's not
I
being
don't think. Well, no,
discriminating
and I
or
don't take.
anything
I
like
don't.
that.
No,
It's
I don't
just
take what you say.
Minnesota is like California. They'll give a CDL to whoever. They don't care.
I don't take it that way. I mean, everybody's going to put up their strategic fight about what they think is right for their state until a situation comes up that changes it. That
Until our
yeah,
governing body in Minnesota changes, it's not, nothing's gonna make it better.
right. True
I
that.
mean,
True
I
that.
I mean, I mean, look at our governor. He ran for president or vice president, and
Right.
he got knocked the fuck down. Sorry, and I'm happy that he got knocked the fuck down because I don't like that guy. And then well, he's not running for governor again anymore. So honestly, the person that I can't remember what his name is, but the person that is running for governor, there's actually might be a little bit of shed of light in the future for my state.
Never know. Never know.
But until the governing body gets their act together, I mean, there ain't as far as like CDLs and all that other stuff in my state. It's probably one of the easiest states to get your CDL in. Don't matter who
Yeah.
you are.
True that. True that.
So,
Well,
and
Blue
then like
Dandelion,
your
we join me and the rest of the panel to welcome you to the show. Well, glad you're here. Diamond note or not, glad you're here. In fact,
Yeah.
anybody in the audience, if you want to chime in, leave us a comment in the chat. We're going through it a little bit here at a time, a little bit here, a little bit there. If you
and
like, there is one comment that is pinned to the top of the chat that allows you to come up and be part of the show. I encourage you, if you've got something you'd like to add or be vocal about it, you don't have to show yourself on camera, but you can certainly click the link and come on in and join the conversation. We encourage that as well. Keep going, Thumper. Go ahead.
well, and then to add on to Grumpy's Oklahoma thing and that guy bragging about driving right by the scale.
Mhm.
Oklahoma will not chase. Oklahoma is a non-chase state. Don't shake your head, Grumpy, because I know for a fact. What they will do is they will send you a $2,000 ticket in the mail for running the scale.
I'll just hang back and let you two argue this.
They will pursue if they see necessity to.
You gotta
Because
remember,
I've seen it
hauled a
done.
I hauled a lot of livestock out of that state. Where did I run all the time? Guyman and all those areas. Yes, no.
Okay,
You know,
well,
I trust me. The reason why I know this is because I personally never ran the scale, but there was a guy who worked for the company that I do, and he ran the scale, and it was a $2,000 ticket, and if you don't pay it, then yeah, they're gonna come after you. But
What's worse than that is they're going to come after the assets that it's associated
Well,
with.
yeah,
they caught up with this fella. Like I said, he got off and was trying to take to 66 highway, and he got caught.
well, there had to have been more behind it why they went after him, not just for blowing a scale. There has to be more behind it.
Mm.
So
Well,
Fate, you got admirers, my friend. Toga says, "Oi, oi to you, brother."
hi Toga.
Toga, we appreciate you watching tonight's show. That's definitely nice to know. We got such a founding cast of people watching. So we're gonna bring one more guest up. He's also in the background. So bear with me,
boy.
guys. We'll continue
Here
this
goes the show.
conversation. No, it's not Fate. It's somebody else.
oh,
Semi Corey, welcome to the show, my friend. Glad you can make it.
Hey, it's been a while. Yeah, I know. Now, I live in an interesting state with all of this.
Mhm. Tell 'em.
I live in New York. So
That's where I got my my driver's license. Back
Yeah.
in 2012.
yeah, see, so I mean, New York is an interesting state because I mean, New York State itself is pretty well conservative, but New York City is absolutely progressive and liberal. So it's kind of like a contradiction clash, all of itself inside the state.
I want to say something here real quick, if I
Go
may.
ahead, man. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Corey, your state is like my state. If you actually look at the polls during the election, most of the state of Minnesota was red, except for Rochester, Minneapolis, Duluth, and Moorhead, and that's right there is what those heavy populated cities is what dictates the whole other state.
Yeah, New York City dictates the entire state of New York. New York and Buffalo kind of dictate the entire state. So, and obviously, I'm sure. I mean, it's no secret. There are a lot. Like New York City has a lot of, not only a lot of immigrants, but a lot of undocumented immigrants. So, I mean, I got mixed feelings about the whole immigration conversation, but I also see like getting a CDL in New York, having a CDL in New York City. Like I can kind of see the perspective that Hochul doesn't see it as a problem like the rest of the nation does, because I mean, other than the reason that she's an idiot and blind, but in New York City, being a CDL truck driver in New York City is like that is next level. I mean, and if you've ever driven the 5 boroughs, I mean, you'd probably agree. I mean, the skill set to drive in the 5 boroughs is next level just to get through there. So with that being said, she probably I don't think she sees the national issue because she's more focused on New York City.
Mm-hmm. Talking about governor, right?
Yeah, the governor.
Yeah.
And
think-
and like
I don't think the current governor of the state has gotten anything right since she was sworn into office, honestly.
I might agree with you. I can't think of one thing she did right.
Yeah. Because I lived there.
Yeah.
I lived there for 21 years, and moved away. Lived in North Carolina for a number of years. Moved back up to New York. Lived there again for another 3 or 4 years. And I got so, and this was long before Perry. I mean, long before her. So I can't blame her
Yeah.
for that. I mean, the whole time I lived there, it was Andrew Cuomo.
Yeah.
He was the one.
Oh,
running
s-
it.
Oh, so you weren't there during the Pataki times.
No.
Yeah.
No, that was Andrew Cuomo I was there for, and I left before
Yeah.
he got into the schnick crap that he got into.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but I
Yeah,
mean,
Como is an entire conversation all of itself.
yeah, that's a whole nother live show we can have at a later point in time.
Yeah.
Um,
That does bring up one positive about Hocho that I just thought of. I
all
think,
means.
and that is that I think Hocho is the first governor we've had in like 100 years who doesn't look like a mob boss.
That's interesting. That's interesting. Yeah, making the comparison to Andrew. Yeah, so
Yeah.
I think that's very funny. So,
Yeah.
let me see. Trying to straighten out my.
Uh,
There I am. Okay. So, all right, I've got all three panelists up here. Let me ask you guys, if the administration's vision actually begins to move forward the way we've kind of outlined here at the start of this conversation, what role do you think your state is going to play? I mean, Thumper, we've already discovered you don't have a whole lot of faith in your state, but we got two real different states sitting at the opposite ends of this view screen tonight. On one side, we've got the guy below me, state of Oklahoma, who, for whatever reason, publicly facing forward, has really made it look like they want to be on the front lines of the problem. They have made efforts to work with ICE. They have made efforts to, confront illegal, unqualified drivers. Whereas the state of New York, they're faced with yet a sanctuary city issue. In my opinion, no offense, Semi, but lazy government and no idea what.
I agree. I
So-
agree 100%.
Let me start with you, Grump. If you're looking at everything that both Trump has said and both what Tom Homan said, what role do you think Oklahoma is going to play moving forward? And do you think they need to change anything?
Well, currently, I believe they're going to be on board, and because so far they've been trying to do their damnedest, basically, to catch these illegals and apprehend them and get them off of highways.
Right.
And as far as going forward with it, I feel that they'll stay with it as long as we have the current governor that we have, because he's on board big time with that, because he is, of course, red.
Right.
But the hardest part I'm seeing is who's footing the bill for these people that are taking off. I mean, that's coming out of our taxpayer dollars. Is it coming from our states? Coming from the government itself, or what?
Well, that's a whole nother live show, but it's a good point you raise. I mean, because the longer it takes to solve the problem, and the more complications your state puts in the problem, the more money has to be invested in actually solving the problem. So
Yes.
that's a valid point. Catherine raises a good point. She says, I live in the state of Virginia, so when it comes to driving, my dad knows exactly how far or how to get around places like Springfield or Arlington. I really don't know a whole lot about either one of those two states, but I'm assuming what you're talking about, Catherine, is the way station. And if that be the case, every state has that. I mean, there's ways to get around way stations. You know, but the clip I was referring to earlier was talking about one specific type of driver. I'm not going to say, and I'm not going to say what creator, so you don't have to go looking for it. But there's one specific type of driver that was bragging about boldly driving past a way station, not stopping, and going completely through the state. Now, he eventually got pulled over, and he eventually got cited, but it wasn't for running the scales, and it wasn't for what you think it was. And this is what kind of inspired me to write, talking points on the show tonight, because Oklahoma is not the only state that has this problem. There's several other, and they're far worse than Oklahoma ever thought of. And the creator that put that video up just highlighted a problem that honestly, we don't even know how deep it runs. And yet, certain sanctuary states are sitting here crafting an argument that it's their privilege, like that one governor in the Northeast said, I would rather have them licensed than, what? That makes no freaking sense. Like Tom said, why don't you tell that to the trooper's family that was killed? You know, we need to take seriously the fact that when you're driving an 80,000-pound rig, it's serious business. You know, we may sit up here and laugh about stuff, and I may have some of my panelists or those that want to come up here joke with me about whether I'm good, bad, late, or otherwise. You know, that's one thing. But when you're talking about safety, and when you're talking about putting people behind the wheel, you need to make sure they're qualified. And it starts, as far as I'm concerned, I want to hear from you in the comments if you disagree at the state level. If you let illegal drivers in, then it's our job as a federal government to clean up your dereliction of duty. Let me know if you disagree with that. I'm quite stern about it because I want a safer trucking industry. I want people to know that if they get into this industry, they're going to make it home. I've got a wife and I've got 2 kids here. They depend on me. Safety is a thing, and it's a big thing in my industry. One thing I've learned out from being out here 3 decades is Washington can sit here and talk all day long to the blue in the face about what they want, what they think, and what they see coming. But here on the front lines, we're the ones that actually show whether or not that vision's actually coming true. We tell you if it's actually passing or if it failed, and we can do it before it even starts. So I want to hear from you. What do you think is going on? Do you think that Trump and Tom are really onto something? Or do you think they're all just talking a bunch of windbags? What do you think?
I think.
Semi, what do you think?
I listened to Trump the other day. I mean, to me, it just sounded like a lot of ear music, and the other guy was just doing backup. Like Trump is talking about, a great, bright new idea of taking the foreigners out of the trucks and putting vets in.
Right.
But yeah, first off, okay, well, why is Delilah's law not being pushed forward? And the second thing is, and the second thing is, he's talking about we're going to start putting vets in trucks and giving them all these waivers. But if I'm not mistaken, these waivers already exist. They've existed for years for military.
They have.
So I mean, he's not singing something new, but he's just taking something old and trying to make it sound like it's new, like it's his new bright idea.
Yeah.
So I mean, to me, it's just ear music at this point, because I mean, what's really being done?
Right. So at this point, Thumper, do you think we're witnessing the change of how things are done, or do you think we're seeing more of the same, just promises delivered in the dark and nothing done?
Well, you want something to change, don't you?
I think we all do.
All right.
Oh, definitely.
All right. I'll break this down to you, and I've said this before. You can't fix something, or you can't. They're just adding new laws and everything else. They're not fixing the actual problem. hold on a sec. Corey, can you mute for a second? You got a lot of
Oh, sorry.
background noise.
Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. I got a
Um,
fan in my vicinity here, so I can't hear any of that. So sorry
Yeah,
about
no,
that.
it's extremely loud, actually.
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah.
trying to be mean. It just, I
Mhm.
feel like I'm yelling when I hear that background noise. But
I know,
anyways,
I know.
Yeah, sorry
Continue.
about that. I got another 300 miles to go.
oh no, you're
No,
good,
no.
buddy.
Just mute while you're not
Um,
talking. That's all.
yeah. So okay, so I've said it before. You add laws onto a broken system. Fix the
Right.
broken system before you add laws. Okay, so there's
Kinda
one
knew you.
problem. There's one problem right there. There's two parts to this.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I'm gonna go back to like the I don't know how to explain it, but it seems like a pattern in the history here.
Mm-hmm.
You know what you're worth. Grumpy knows what he's worth. Corey knows what he's worth. I know what I'm worth. We expect to get paid that, correct?
Right. Blue
Okay.
Dandelion. Basically, seeing is believing. Amen to
Yeah.
her.
So,
Well said.
so as a business owner, you come to me and you want, I'm throwing numbers out there, this is not realistic. You want, we'll do a percentage because that's
Mhm.
easier for me to math stuff out because I don't ever, I work off percentage, not mileage. So let's do percentage. Okay, you want 30% of every load you do,
Right.
and you got experience.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, say Mr. Mohammed Joe Schmo over here just got his CDL, no experience,
Mm-hmm.
but I ask him, what do you think is a fair percentage on to pay for you per load to pay you? And
Right.
he says 18%. Okay,
Okay.
who do you think I'm gonna pick with these mega, the bigger mega carriers and stuff? Who do you think I'm gonna pick? I'm gonna pick the one with the least experience and wants the lower pay to put more profit into my pocket. That's the issue right there.
Right.
Is
Exactly.
trucking does not have a minimum wage. End of story.
No.
That. So you want somebody who wants to make blah 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 amount of dollars a day, who is an American, works hard, has his family to support, and then you get Mr. Joe Schmo from overseas who will take a reduced pay because our dollar's worth more in his country, so in a roundabout way, he's actually making more money than us because he sends all of his money back over there. That's why we have so many illegals in here.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to sit here and well, we're going to put veterans in. Okay, hey, I'm all for it. I'm a veteran myself. I'm all for
Mhm.
it. But trying to get companies to actually hire veterans and actually pay what they're worth versus I'm going to hire Mohammed or Rico down the road or whatever with an illegal who will take half the pay.
Mm-hmm.
That's the issue right there. It really comes down to money.
It does. It does. Yeah.
It doesn't matter how many people have their CDLs or how you're going to govern people get their CDLs or anything.
Right.
The people are going to find a way to work the system to put more money in their pocket and hire people for cheaper. If you have
That's
a
true.
flat out baseline, a minimum wage for trucking, whether
Mhm.
it's I'm throwing numbers out there. Don't hold me to this, but say 65 cents a mile that's your minimum wage right there.
Right.
Or 26% of every load.
It's about
You're
average,
gonna
I think.
Yeah, well, like I said, I'm throwing numbers out
Yeah.
there. I don't know what
Yeah.
they are or anything like
Yeah.
that. I know how much I make. I put food on the table. End of story. I'm happy where
Mhm.
I'm at. But
Yeah.
if you had a baseline like that, I think that would eliminate a lot of the issues we are having. But then it all goes back to rates, because if you're paying this person X amount of dollars, but this person's going to do it for cheaper. So it all comes down to money. Our issues in this whole industry.
Well,
is
it's a
money.
double-edged sword. The more you pay,
It is.
you know, things change. The less you pay, things change. So
Yes, and that's the way it is. Fuel prices go up, the rates go up, fuel prices go down, the rates go down. But it seems like in order for them to go down, or hold on, let me rephrase that, not go down. When fuel prices go up, it's harder for us to get the rates to go up. But when they come down, fucking snap of a finger, they go down. People
the
always
same is true with fuel. The more complications there are, they'll raise it in a second, but as soon as things even out, it takes forever to come back down. So the same is true on both ends of that economic scale you're bringing up right now. So you gotta be careful.
But everything revolves. It all revolves around the whole thing is mega carriers or whoever. Hold on. Let me use a really good example.
Well, let's not get too distracted now. The states are the issue. You're starting to
I know. No. I'm not trying to, because yes, like I said, I understand what everybody's trying to do, but the root of the problem is, like, a good example during COVID. Everybody's like, rates were awesome in COVID, this and that. Well, I'm going to tell you this right now. Okay, I'm going to do this much for it. I need to make this much for this truck. Well, then I can't read it.
I'll read it for you. She says, all companies will try to get labor as cheap as they can. I've had a company ask what pay I'd like, and I've gotten smarter and smarter and said what the position pays, the experience, what the position pays for the experience I have. Basically, she's saying most people, and she makes a valid point, most people are starting to smarten up to the very tactics you're talking about. So,
Well, that's just like me with running across trying to find other jobs besides trucking. A lot of them I've went to say I'm overqualified because I would require more pay than they could afford. And I look at them like, why would
save money? That has nothing to do with your qualifications. They just want to save money.
That's the whole idea. I'm looking at them like, if I wanted the pay that I really had before, I wouldn't have applied here to begin with.
All right. Well, let me get all three of you involved in this question. I want to kind of quickly. I want to move it.
No. I know you want to move on, and I'll make this really quick. But really, what it boils down to is, unless every state is on the same page, nothing is gonna change. Because you could have, like, Oklahoma, New York, Minnesota, we're all different.
Yeah.
And like I said, that goes for all of, like, we had that huge discussion a few weeks about FM as a CSA. How does a state override federal?
Yeah.
And we all have that argument. Well, federal overrides state, but in the state's eyes, state overrides federal. I mean, that's literally what it boils down to.
Last question, while I've got all three of you tuned into this subject matter. If more responsibility shifts to the states, i.e. New York, Oklahoma, Minnesota, and those in the audience, chime in. Let me know what you're thinking about the state you live in. Do you think that your state's licensing and enforcement systems, as they currently sit, are prepared for what Trump and Homan are saying they're going to do? What's your thought? State of New York, I tend to say probably not, and it's going to be a while. But what do you think?
Do they have the capacity and the ability to fall in line with Trump's order?
Do you think that they have everything in place that if that comes about and changes, they can handle it?
I think they do have everything in place to handle it if it does come about. But again, I think New York is just too goddamn stubborn, and they're going to fight tooth and nail
to avoid it.
it.
I'm going to challenge you because I want to know what you think they're going to do about a sanctuary city like New York City. How are they going to work this with Mondami, for example?
Well, Mandami he's just basically a puppet. I mean,
No,
he's
he's running a sanctuary city. He's
Right,
in effect
right.
posted and bragged about that.
right. He is running the city, but he's a puppet. It's Hocho that's going to make the real call.
Right.
And I think she's going to fight tooth and nail for her sanctuary city. And you know, I mean, what money be damned, she's gonna fight it all the way to the end, just out of spite, just because that's what she's going to do. But
Look,
do they have everything in
like
place?
Taking
They
up-
do. I
Thank you, Phil. I appreciate that.
I think they have everything in place. I think they have the capacity. I just don't think they have the drive or the intention.
Yep. Grumpy, what do you think? Oklahoma, currently, sitting the way it is. Same question. What do you think?
I think we're about halfway on board, basically, if you ask me. That's just my personal opinion. I mean, we weeded out quite a few of the schooling stuff and stuff like that. So a lot of our schools now are more legit and can check to make sure that before they run them through a school, because you have to go to a school to get your CDL. You can't just walk into the DMV and say, give me a test and take it. You have to go through a trucking school here in Oklahoma. That's mandatory now. They weeded out quite a few schools that were not real good in this state, which there was only a handful of them, maybe, if that. And the ones that are
very viable upfront supporter is in the comments right now telling us, hey guys, Sean, appreciate it. If you guys want to know more about somebody fighting for you guys the same way Trucking Frontlines is, get with Sean on TikTok, letting him know that you want people to get you some information that really helps you move the needle. Sean Whitwood belongs to We the Truckers, and him and myself and Vince, we're teaming up. We're planning things. We're working things out. So definitely encourage you. Look him up on TikTok. And Sean, if you want to come on up here and click the StreamYard link, by all means, I invite you to do so. It's pinned in the comments. If not, I understand. But bottom line is, hey, look them up. They are a great organization, a lot like ATU, but they're We the Truckers. They get the job done. So anyway, back to Oklahoma. Grumpy, I didn't want to cut you off. I just wanted to acknowledge he was there.
I'm just glad to see Sean here, and I'd like for him to try to come aboard with us because he has a lot to say and a lot of good information. And all you got to do is just take that link, put it in your browser, come on in.
Yep.
Because Boss Man will see you.
Yep.
But I mean, Oklahoma. Has he? I don't remember him being on here.
He's been on my show before. Sure. Continue, my friend.
But anyhow, Oklahoma's probably about halfway. I mean, that's the way I'd see it. Most of everything they farm out now, as far as like our driver's license, we don't even get them. You used to be able to go into the DMV, they printed them right there, give them to you. No more. They print you a piece of paper. You hold on to that piece of paper until your license comes in the mail, which since they come from somewhere up north. And so that's what I'm saying. They're about halfway probably on board is how I look at it.
So you know why they do that?
Why is that?
We had too many people that were counterfeiting.
Well, no, not just that. So actually, technically, Minnesota does this too. And when I moved to Minnesota from North Dakota, I had to retake the driving test and I had to retake the written test, which was weird that they had to do that, but that was their requirements. But now they've gone away with it. But the reason why they do it, and I asked them why they do this. They're like, yes, you passed and everything. You have a temporary legit license, which is that piece of paper.
Right.
And then what they do is when it's going through the office in your state, they review everything. They do your background and everything for your driving record to see if you actually qualify. So, yes, you have that piece of paper saying that you could drive, but that piece of paper is only good for 30 days. So you technically have a 30-day license
Right.
until it gets passed through the state. So they do a background and stuff like that too. So, you know, you even though you went and did all that stuff, you got your piece of paper saying that you got it, but you still have a chance of not having a license in 30 days.
Yep.
Right.
So that's why, and I've actually starting to notice that there are more and more states that are starting to do that.
Right. Let me move on briefly. Let me advance the conversation a little bit here. One part of Tom Homan's interview that caught my attention, I don't want to rush past it. He talked about the idea that some state leaders have indicated that they'll continue supporting driving privileges for certain undocumented individuals. I referenced this a short time ago. And they said they're going to do that despite and regardless of the changes at the federal level. Whether you agree with that or not, you got to really think there are some real stubborn people. And that state isn't the only one. We're talking as many as, I think, 26 different states. Or the number may be 23. I'm not completely 100% on the number. But that's the amount of cities or states with sanctuary cities in them. Now, whether you think that's right or not, it raises an important question for everybody that does work in trucking. Because when you're talking about an 80,000-pound vehicle, that's purely public safety at work there. That's less than half of the country that has their leg in that sanctuary city argument. If one level of government says one thing and another says something different, where does that leave the people responsible for licensing, enforcement, and everything else that goes on inside of trucking? You and I, we need to know what the rules are. We watch shows like mine to figure things like that out. Major media, news networks, all that. Carriers also need confidence, knowing that they can rightfully do the right thing by the people they hire. And law enforcement needs to have clear signals as to what they need to do to enforce laws and keep people safe. So rather than empty targets and excuses that do nothing more than just codify their existence, they need to change their tune. Now, that question could be put to the half that do things right or the half that stick by, I want to keep my sanctuary state. So I'll ask you, do you think the differences between what is currently going on, between the state and federal approaches to what needs to go forward, create confusion? Or do you think the states should have their flexibility and their right to make their own decision? Let me know what you think in the comments. Tell me, Grumpy, what is your position on what I just brought up? What do you think should happen?
Apologies. I was
No, you were
away.
distracted. Happens every day. Tell me, or do you need me to repeat the question?
Repeat the question, please.
God,
I was busy doing something.
you need to watch the show, not only be part of it. Man, look what you're making.
He was stuffing his face.
He probably was.
No, if you look at his cheek, he looks like a goddamn chipmunk.
He does. Guilty as charged. Well, let me give you the short version, Grumpy. If trust is such a problem, and everybody knows that only half or less than half of the country is ready to do this, and you got less than half that are sticking to this, I want to be a sanctuary state, and you get the other half that want to do what's right for trucking, what do you think eventually happens? I mean, overall, you have right now an environment where those of us in trucking, we really have no way to know what's right or trust that where we're at is the right thing. So do you think
It's not going to ever
right
work.
for the states- Well, let me finish the question. Do you think it's perfectly right for the states to have their right to exercise their flexibility, or do you think it all needs to be set clear and come from one direction, all or nothing? Which do you think works?
It's going to have to be all or nothing, honestly, because if you're a sanctuary and you're not following and wanting to go by it,
Right.
it's not going to do any good. It's just, how can I say this?
Well, it's not so much what you do when you're driving through it, but it's how you get into business to start with.
True.
Think about it. 17,000 licenses out of California. California is a sanctuary state.
Hmm.
You got, I think it was correct me if I'm wrong, something like 2,300 licenses that came out of the state of New York. Once again, a sanctuary state, but
I
other
think that
states-
number was a little higher.
Maybe I might have. I'm trying to run with a theory here, and the theory is those states that don't have sanctuary practices generally tend to churn out less licenses that are fraudulent and questionable than those that do. You see what I'm saying? I don't know if do you agree with that, Semi, or do you see that different?
If I remember right, Texas did, which is a Republican state, non-sanctuary. They had a number of CDLs that were not up to par. So even though sanctuary cities are like the big problem, it has been nationwide all around.
Well, I thank Sean for
I-
joining the TIB membership. Very smart thing you did. I appreciate the support there, my friend. Which brings me to something real quick. Semi, don't want to cut you off, but
All
just
right.
wanted to mention, if you want to support Truckin' City and you want to help us advance the ability to have others here, exactly the style of show you're hearing tonight, join the PIB Nation. For your support, you will get advance access to videos sooner than anyone. Video membership gives privileges, and the membership privileges here are that you get advanced access to all the videos I create and other newsletter kind of related assets that I have as well. So thank you, Sean, for becoming a member. Anybody else wanting to support the channel, I certainly encourage it, and thank you in advance for said support. Thank you. Go ahead, Semi,
So-
finish what you were saying.
All right. So as for the CDLs and new entrants and everything, my honest opinion is I think all 50 states need to be decertified. And I say
What
that
would that do?
because a CDL, well, I say that
What would
because
that do?
a CDL is a federal license. Well, what I mean is a CDL is a federal license. Therefore, it should be a federal agency, a federal office issuing them, not the states. That's my opinion. So
Yep.
I think that would fix a lot of the problem.
Okay.
So it
I mean,
should be a federal license
that's-
issued by a
that's-
federal agency.
That's an extreme way of doing that, though, by the way. I mean,
Yeah,
I think personally, if you're demonstrating
I
a
mean,
total
that-
disregard, if
Go
you're
ahead.
demonstrating a total disregard for the systems and procedures, then yeah, you should be certified. But to do it across the board, nah, I don't think it's. I think all that's doing is creating confusion. But I see why you're saying it, and I understand. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I just think it creates a lot of confusion, like there isn't already enough of that.
oh, there is a lot of confusion.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
I also think by just having it as a federal agency would clean up a lot of the confusion as well. Like it would create a lot of confusion, but it would also alleviate a lot of confusion.
Sorry about that. Slight distraction. So, I mean, really, when you think about it, now let me go back to the first question. I mean, should states, and I'm going to address this to you, Thumper, Thumper, because everybody else has had their piece. Do you think states should have the flexibility to make their own decisions, or do you think this should just be something left up to one agency, like, for example, federal government?
Well, we're sorry.
Biden? Boy, where are you going?
Yeah, no, I'm not feeling good. So we
I'm sorry
we're okay. Commercial trucks are governed by FMCSA.
Uh-huh.
But like I just said earlier, every state.
Sean, you were just up there. I was going to bring you up. You disappeared.
But like I said, the states feel like
There you are.
the states feel like they can
Hold on, man, guys.
overrule the federal government. So
Yep.
that's our issue right there. Is one
Right.
state says they can do this, one state says we can't do that, this and that, but then FMCSA says we can do this. So
Yep.
until that's
two back-
fixed,
Got two backstage, so wrap up real quick for me.
yeah. So if once that gets fixed, then yeah. So my honest opinion, if we're federal regulated, the federal needs to deal with CDLs.
Yeah. Sean and Fate, you guys are backstage. I'm going to bring you two up momentarily. I want to say you guys got good timing because I'm getting into some more pertinent questions. So glad to have you guys be part of this. Let me catch up on the comments real quick. I'll bring you two up. Look, it's been a bit of time. Oh, talking to Tolga. Good evening, everybody. Let me see. What are we doing here? You're really, yeah, yeah. I got Fate fired up. You'll see that in just a minute here. Hang on a second. Well, no time like the present. I don't want to ignore comments, guys. So let me just glance through them real quick and make sure that we don't have anything missing. Let me see. This was one from Cheap Freight Hauler. Welcome to the show. Glad you could join us. So have the feds opened an office? You issue CDLs going to go hard if they only put one office in every state. Do you really think that's what they're going to do?
That
I mean,
more
come
than
on.
likely, because that's the government.
Could be. Yeah, I'm getting kind of behind on the comments, so just give me a second. Let me get caught up. I'll bring everybody up. Been wondering if you were doing blah, 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 small chit chat. No offense, Blue Diamond. You're well to chat with that, but in terms of moving on, make sure everybody gets the right thing. All right, Togo, I'll get to you. All right. What are you doing to me, Fate? You're trying to bring the Constitution into this. Come on now.
Can you hear me?
Very
No.
well.
Okay. It came up different. The link that Tolga posted, it came up different. So I didn't have a chance to see if my mic and stuff was working.
Oh,
Listen.
I see. Okay.
Semi said it the best. And yeah, and I'm picking on Grumpy, of course. Like, I find it like what I'm about to say is going to piss off a lot of people, but it's the truth. Okay?
Okay.
It is so funny how I'm in this boat too. How uneducated people immediately want to wipe out our Constitution. Do we forget what we just celebrated?
200
We
Right.
just celebrated the Declaration of Independence and our Constitution. States
Thank
have the right to
Yep.
be separate from the
They do.
federal government. What Semi
But-
said about a CDL is facts, and I've been preaching that for years. That is a
But-
federal license. That is not a state license.
But let me challenge you on that very thought you just completed. Respectfully, let me challenge you on that. Where should the allowance of what you just said be held true to the point that it endangers the safety of the regular public?
That's the federal government's fault, not the state's fault.
Why?
The
Why
federal,
is it your fault?
because the federal government has always allowed non-domicile CDLs. The problem is I have a huge problem with
Two, three,
unqualified
four.
people driving commercial vehicles. Let me be very clear about that. I have a huge problem with that.
One more guest
But it-
backstage, so I want to quickly get his take on this too as well. So keep talking,
it's-
Fate. I just want to bring him in as well. So Fine.
Hence, the FMCSA, which is a federal organization, should be the one that's giving out the licenses. If that means, that, like Cheap Freight Hauler said earlier, there's only one office in a state, which
Right.
that's absurd, but that's why they delegated it to the states. Now,
Right.
do I think all states operated correctly? No, I don't think they did. but that
Right,
doesn't
okay.
mean we wipe out like we got to stop with this idea of just getting rid of stuff because it's our Constitution. We can't do that.
True that. True that.
Our Constitution allows immigrants to come here. It
Right.
allows us to be a melting pot. That's what
True.
I celebrated on July 4th.
Yeah.
That is exactly what I celebrated.
Well, I mean that was an important milestone for the entire country and everybody
Yeah.
involved. So I will
Well,
definitely
I look
agree
at
with
it
that.
as
Sean,
I look at
let me hold Grumpy hold. Let me get Sean and let me get your take on the question I asked earlier about the fairness of using states and what you just said. You know, I mean, you got the states' right to do what they want, but then you've also got the issue of doing what's safe for everyone. So,
Corey, can you
Sean,
mute real
what
quick?
say you on that?
So
Oh.
here's the thing that when you guys bring this up, it's a great topic, and it's one that means deeply to my heart when it comes into the industry. You know, it's following what states can do and what federal and how they coexist, right? And if we look at this, the field of it right now, right? So if we look at autonomous, the federal saying, "Hey, I want to waive the states' rights and what rules they have, and we're going to come in and change." What they have written already, and we're going to make it federal. So right now we have states and federal right now going at it like fist to fist. I mean, they're just fighting each other. But yeah, I mean, 100%. If there was a state, that's monitoring our license, then it needs to stay with states. If the federal want to do it, then the federal should do it. But right now we're not seeing that. And to me, honestly, like you said, our constitutional rights say that the states have the power. But however, because there's different spots in states, so like for example, in South Dakota, we have more agriculture stuff going on, right? So we use them non-domiciles to do agriculture. Where you might get into Tennessee where they don't have as much agriculture, so non-domicile to them really they really don't need it if you know what I mean. So you have to look at these different lines and go, okay, where at what point do we say, hey, if the federal is going to come in and try to do CDLs, because I really do think they are. I think that's one of Sean Duffy's agenda. It's one of his major one, and we can see that. And we can see that right now with New York, right? New York, he's saying, hey, I won't give you guys any more funding until you guys get quit issuing non-domicile CDLs. And, and I think, you're right. I mean,
well,
you're going to have immigrants.
Here's the other thing that you kind of glossed over just a second ago, not to kill your thunder. But what I heard interestingly a few hours ago was a reporter saying something about the fact that what he thinks is going to happen is that the states, well, actually, let me step back and put perspective in this, because the whole discussion was going on a news program about this whole effect of what is being proposed here. And one of the comments made by not only the commenter but the newscaster was the fact that it puts an interesting light on something you just mentioned, Sean, which is you've got a number of states, and I may be wrong on the number, but less than half the country that have sanctuary states in positions, rightfully so. Now, what this does, in effect, is it puts the pressure on those states to say, look, you're going to follow this or else. Now, what that or else is arbitrary, but it says this is what's going to happen. And it should be interesting to see, and this is what the newscaster was saying, not my opinion, but it should be interesting to see what happens with what goes on with these rules they're putting, because that will make the sanctuary states put up or shut up, basically, because you've got everybody now with just whatever they want to do in terms of let's get these guys in the business. They're not qualifying them, not training them correctly, and they're not vetting them. So that's what everybody's concerned about. But yet those people that are on that less than half the country majority, such as the sanctuary, they're not worried about it. They just want to push the numbers. They want to make it look like it's their side's winning. So that news show, if I can find the link, I'm going to put it up here in the show so you guys can watch it. but what do you think? I mean, that because you just reminded me of that, Sean, and that kind of puts an interesting tint on that, if you will, what you just mentioned.
Yeah. So I mean, at what we're seeing this being played out right now is who wants control? Who's going to take it? Is it the federal or is it going to be the state? And I think they're using autonomous to get that kind of control back, you know? So you kind of got to, when we talk about this, you kind of got to watch the whole, everything.
You got to watch everything.
Yeah, everything, you know, and I have a feeling that it's where we're going to go. I mean, when you guys talk about training and stuff, I mean, if we look at these new, we've almost made it to where anybody can drive. You know what I mean? We can't get them to think, but they can actually get in there and turn the key on and wait for their air pressure to build up, and they can go down the road.
Yeah, they can perform basic functions. Let me get Fate in here because he's had his hand up. He wants, I guess, to engage you here. Go ahead, Fate.
It's not the state's responsibility.
And why is that?
Like, it's the federal government's responsibility. Like, we need to take a step back and realize they delegated, the federal government has delegated things to states. Now, am I saying states are doing everything absolutely, crossing every T and dotting every I and doing everything absolutely correct? No, they're not. But that's the federal government's responsibility to check to make sure they're doing it. And the federal government has dropped the ball. I'm not blaming this administration. I'm not blaming the last administration or Trump, even Trump's first term. This has been a decades long problem in this industry. And we've lost, I think I'm sorry, I don't know who was just talking. He's 100% right. The federal government is stepping in, telling states that they can't make certain laws to stop, like, autonomous vehicles.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I've got one.
That's a power play.
Okay, I've got one guest in the background. So, Sean, hold your thought for a second because I know you two want to engage each other. Semi, I'm going to let you go because I'm starting to get a full panel here. Is there anything you want to add to this before I cut you off?
Well, another thing that Sean touched on, like in South Dakota, he stated like they have a lot of agriculture and they have a lot of non-domiciles driving trucks for their agricultural sector.
Right.
And I think that in situations like that, those non-domiciles, even if they're going to drive semi-trucks in South Dakota, then they should be state restricted.
Right.
They typically are.
They typically are, yeah.
Because they'll even allow underage people to drive.
Yep. All right, Sammy, I'm not cutting you off rude, but you know, I'm keeping the momentum going, and there's obviously new interest. So, join us next week, this time, and we continue in the comments. I'll be looking for you as well. Thank you for joining the show tonight, Semi.
All right.
God bless you.
Keep
it rolling, my friend.
I'll try and sign up. I'll try and drop in next week too.
No, not a problem. Always do. We welcome you every single time you come in. Want to bring new blood in here. This is a name I haven't seen. The others on the panel might know who he is. Jesse Owens. Want to welcome you to the show, my friend. Welcome to the front lines. You're on, my friend. You got anything to add to this?
So long.
Okay. No, I'm going to keep them on. Sean, you and Fate were talking about states, so by all means, continue.
Yeah, so I mean, what he's saying as far as the federal and the states, I mean, right now it's in the makings that I can see that the federal is going to step in. I mean, they do, the Green Book. We all think that those are the rules and those are laws, but they're just guidance for states to say, hey, you know what, I'm going to pick this little bit out of this Green Book, and we're going to make it into a state law because it best fits our state. Where then some states say, hey, you know what, it doesn't fit our state, so we don't want that out of that Green Book. But as a driver, you got to know the whole book, so that way hey, you know what, this is where I need to study this part of it because this is a state I'm going to drive into. So I mean, could it be definitely organized and for it to match every single state? Absolutely, and I think it should. as our highways are being performed more. I look in certain states where they have weight limits. I mean, we got enough technology now that there shouldn't be really weight limits for frost laws. Let's just build better roads so that way everybody can drive up and down them roads when they need to. So I mean,
or Sean, the as we
Sorry,
see
I'm not
in North
hearing
Dakota.
anything.
I heard.
I'm sorry. Is that Jesse? I'm hearing your audio, Jesse.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we
Yeah.
can. Yes, we can. Yeah, we'll come back to you here just a second or so. When we started out, I couldn't hear you, so I just moved on. What were you saying? What were you saying, Thumper?
Well, like he said, the frost laws, or how about what we've been seeing in North Dakota the last week and a half, where it's been getting so hot and the roads are buckling.
I can't hear anything.
All right, Jesse. What
She
happens
needs to-
sometimes if do you have an Apple? If you have an Apple product, you might want to just back out and then hit the link again and come back in, because sometimes your audio is changed when I change panelists on the show. So you might want to try that. So try leaving the show and then coming back.
Or
Chief
turn
Freight
YouTube
Hauler.
off.
That could be true too. When Chief Freight Hauler says, when the feds start requiring fingerprints and background checks for hazmat endorsements, I could renew my hazmat at my local DMV, but had to drive 150 miles away for an office. Yeah, that was his earlier comment. So
yeah, but I think what he's misunderstanding though. See, the federal gives money out to the states, right? So when we pay our fuel tax and all that stuff, they give that money back to the states. So for them to have a federal building at each DMV office, that's just a line of a tax saying, hey, we can't do that, and we need to only have one building in each state. No, they can there's federal workers in every DMV. So I mean, I don't see that being an issue if the federal said, hey, I'm going to come in and I'm going to take over. They're going to have to follow underneath our guidelines. All it would do is create more jobs on the federal level in the DMV office. So that way we're getting the education part checked off in the way it needs to be checked. Right. So I don't see them coming in saying, hey, I'm just going to have one. It'll still stay the same.
Catching up on his comments, he goes on to say that states can do whatever they want when issuing CDLs, but they quit relying on federal money. So I don't know if there's any truth to that, but that's what his next comment was.
Well, no, they can't. Like they can't. A commercial vehicle license, is federal. It's issued by a state, but it's a federal license. So a state can't just without there being what's the term I'm looking for? Like when you apply for your CDL, somewhere along the chain that gets delivered to a federal person. They're the yes, it has to. Yeah. And it's not. It's like a state has a right. Like I stated earlier.
What I think is interesting, though, not to cut you off, but what I think is interesting, though, is the whole dynamic that's trying to be insinuated here. And Sean hasn't said a whole lot. And I'm not talking about you, Sean. I'm talking about Sean Duffy. Sean Duffy hasn't really said a lot. Tom Homan's been public. Trump has been public. But I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to exert public pressure on those states that have sanctuary cities. And they're trying to make it look different than it really is. I mean, when you think about it, there's some truth there. So do you think there's more going on than what we're publicly seeing? In other words, do you think this is an attack against sanctuary cities? What do you think?
Just based on what I heard.
Well, yeah. I wanted to do you first because of what you just said. So go ahead.
Yeah, so I can agree 100%, right? It's definitely an attack. You know, when they're saying, hey, we're going to hold your money back, that means that is a sign of saying, hey, you're going to do what we want you to do, or you guys ain't going to have any funding anymore. So, and you're right. If you look at them, they're all sanctuary cities. saying, "Hey, you got to get on board with us, right?" So, can they use CDL? Absolutely. Look at, we're a $1 trillion industry a year. So, how much money are they getting? I mean, we're looking at Kentucky, right? Kentucky just when fuel prices went all the way up, the governor said, "Hey, you know what? I'm going to take the fuel tax off to keep it cheap for you." Yeah, it was over $400-something million in a month that they distracted. So, if you go to a Junction City and you say, "Hey, you're going to lose $400 million," and that's Kentucky's not a big corridor, no means. So, if we look at them Chicago's and the New Yorks and the sanctuary cities, California, how much are they really getting in fuel tax? You know what I mean? So, yeah, if you took that away from them, that's a big, powerful sign. And we've seen it over the years, over decades, that if you want to, everybody always uses truck drivers to get what they want, right? I mean, there's, for example, when everybody went to
every politician out there, to the degree you're talking, yes, you are so right.
The federal government, and once again, I know I'm going to piss people off by saying this, and I'm okay with that.
Fake,
I've been quiet too damn long. I have been quiet, and I listened to Rage Against the Machine today, and stuck my middle finger up, and thought, you know what, it's time to have a voice.
I need to put more Trump. I need to put more Trump thumbnails on my show.
It's not just Trump. That's the thing. I'm not hating on just one administration. What I'm trying to see is the control factor that the federal government, in my eyes.
Yeah.
Now I know this might be a little absurd, but it's waging war on states, and we have people in this panel that just said, "Oh, you know, like, get rid of our Constitution." The states, the federal government.
Who said that?
Who
said that? I didn't hear that.
Grumpy said it. Grumpy said it in a less dramatic way than I just did, and that's why I came in, because the reality is, I think the federal government, if the federal government is going to run trucking, they should run trucking. Think if you were like a lawyer or a doctor.
Do you think they should? Do you think
yes,
they should?
Well.
Think about it.
I think they should. Yeah, I think they should.
Okay.
I think we should have the same laws from California to Maine.
See, that's what I've been saying.
With no weird idea. You know, you always have to pull out your atlas. I'm sure a lot of new drivers don't have these, but you need to know the bridge laws. You need to know how long you can be. Every state is different, right, when it comes to trucking. But yet,
you've hurt Grumpy. You've hurt Grumpy's interest.
The federal government.
I'm sitting here trying to figure out how he said I said something about the Constitution, because I don't remember saying anything about that.
I was waiting.
He said you said it in a roundabout way, that not as aggressive as he did.
Call him out. Call him out, man.
No, we're getting distracted here, because I actually have somebody who agrees with me about trucking needs to be
Nobody cares what you say.
Laws. Grumpy, you go. Oh.
All right.
States have a right. Listen, states don't have to comply with everything. And that's what we have to understand. And we have to appreciate that. When we start forgetting, it's not just sanctuary states. If you look at some of the states with the highest number of non-domicile CDLs, let's be real here. The Republican-ran states. We have to be real.
I appreciate how passionate you are, Fate, but I'm gonna cut this down the middle right now. All right, because you have your passion, and we have a diversity of opinions on this panel, but you have to have uniformity when it comes to one important aspect. Okay, how diverse do you think rules are when it comes to flying an airplane at 30,000 feet? Why is it?
Perfect example. Perfect example.
Now, let me finish. The reason I bring all this up is because you don't have half the drama associated with flying airplanes from Chicago to LaGuardia as you do as running a freight load of truck. You know,
I'm gonna make it even
from-
simpler for you.
FFA or
Who gives you a drone license? I'm
The
gonna make it even
FFA.
simpler for you.
FFA.
Wrap it up.
Or not
Tell me
Who's
FFA.
the
what I'm
FFA?
missing.
Who's
No,
the
it's not that-
FFA?
Is
It's
that what it
FAA,
is?
by the way.
The
The
it's
FAA. There we go.
Yeah.
Who is that? Is that a state entity or a
That's
federal
not-
entity?
I don't know. I know
No,
we're
it's
missing
actually-
one of the panel
No,
that
no, no.
knows about that stuff.
Hold on.
What do you mean?
Grumpy. The
Data.
FAA.
Data has
Yeah.
one.
Jesus fucking
Yeah.
Christ.
So
Let
my
me-
thought
Yeah, I
pattern,
was
right?
just going to ask you, Sean. What do you have to add to this? Go ahead.
So again, if we look at what's going on, do we really want the federal to have that kind of power, right? We see stuff over and over again of corruption, like we're seeing right now, right? So they want to push autonomous in. How many millions and millions and billions of dollars are they throwing at this, right? You look at data centers, for example. They're throwing all that money. So if we give federal control, what is
Right.
the politicians and lobbyists? How's that going to control it, right? So right now at state levels, we still have that power. We still have that fight in the game to say, hey, you know what, this is not what we want. And then when they start taking that power away, so it's very interesting to see and watch and follow along on it. I really think there's a lot of right now showing power. I mean, look at Sean Duffy when the railroad company asked for money in California, and they're like, hey, we've already gave you that money. But now we're seeing him giving the money. So what changed over in a couple week period of time to say, hey, we funded that, but now we're going to give it to you again. Don't waste it this time. So
They
it's
gave them stock options.
yeah, right.
Just
Right.
follow suit with the current
One-
administration. I mean,
Mhm.
get rid of all drones and have your son start a company in America, and those are the only drones now that are allowed in America. I mean,
Yeah.
the
Okay.
corruption.
Prop for DGI. Let me give Sean, or let me give Jesse Owens a chance to chime in. Jesse, are you able to hear us any better than when you first showed up?
I'm so sorry about that. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you fine. I want to give you a chance to chime in and say your piece on this show. Welcome to the show.
And thank you so much for having me. I was invited. I'm Jane Owens with WeTruckers.com. The show here, so I like to
Great.
sit in the back and listen if you don't mind.
Hey, no problem. But if you join the panel, we'd love to at least give you the chance to say your piece. Welcome in. Glad to have you. If at any point in time you want to make a statement or disagree with somebody, certainly tell us. Let us know. Sean, please continue on. I didn't want to cut you off, but I also wanted to give Jesse a chance to chime in. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I mean that's something that we have to ask ourselves, when we're in this battle or this fight that I keep saying.
Yeah.
Do we really want federal actually? Do we really want federal to have that loophole in there? So you got to weigh out the odds. What's
But
that?
the federal, our licenses are through the federal government.
I think you and I were actually diving into the same point there.
So
Because
your federal license, but state ran, right? This is why I was saying federal can actually say, hey, you know what? We're going to make all the rules, all the green book across the board for every state. They choose not to, right? So just like if you owe child support, right? It's a state that says, hey, you know what? We're going to suspend your license because you didn't
there you go.
pay for your thing. So
You were like literally just gonna go down the question that I've been holding back for a few minutes now because I really didn't want to go off track. But the question is how? Okay, if we have a federal license, a CDL,
You guys look at my question list.
how does
Damn.
how does the state actually how was the question supposed to? So if we have a federal license, how is it possible that a state could take our license away?
Well, there you go.
Because it's delegated.
So we're federal license, state ran. Does that make sense? So you get a federal license, and then you get just like your TWIC card, everything else. It's all federal stuff, but you're actually ran by that state.
They
when
drop
you
the
go
ball on somebody else for more responsibility somewhere else.
Actually, I'm gonna
Basically, the
challenge
way
you,
I'm
Sean.
seeing that.
Sean,
We
I'm gonna hold on. My show, my thought. Let me challenge you on that, Sean, because I mean, yeah, I agree with what you said. State run, federal, blah blah blah. But
It's a
when
federal
you go to
license.
apply, hold on. But when you apply for a CDL, you have to go through the state to get it. How is it state, or how is it the way you worded it? I'm totally, I'm playing average Joe trucker here. How is it what you said makes sense by what I just described? You don't get the federal government saying you can have a CDL. You go to your state to get it.
No,
So
yeah.
you
So
go to your Go ahead.
no, go ahead,
yeah.
Sean. I'm
So,
challenging you on this. Go ahead.
yeah. So that's why they made the FMCSA, right? So FMCSA is your federal ran organizations that actually looks over all of our safety data, the accidents, everything you can think of in trucking. The FMCSA has a power over it. Then they delegate that to go into colleges to run the studies. They basically give the funding to everybody. So how the state actually, why you have to go to the state to ask for is because the FMCSA says, the federal agent says, we're going to delegate this to you guys to take care of licensing. And you have that power. So you could say no. You simply could just, if a guy has a bad driving record in that state, then you don't get to issue it. And the reason why that was, if we look back in the day, back in history, if you remember the good old days when you ran your license and got all the points up, you just moved to another state, and then you would get another license, and you just drove out until that license was no good, and you continue to do that. So that's when the government stepped in and said, "Hey, we got a bad problem. We got guys that are out here that are unsafe, non-qualified." So they said, "Hey, you know what? We're going to make it a federal database. So when you get that license, it goes to the FMCSA. They report you. They keep you recorded saying that you have a license at this state." That's where, hence, now we have our PSPs, our what's the other ones? PSP is the one that goes on to our license. So every time we make a mistake,
all that stuff is currently in databases, which give the federal government all the information they need, but they don't currently have the enforcement to carry out.
So who dropped the ball, the federal government or the states?
Well,
So
who dropped the ball?
Yeah, I was gonna ask that following up, but yeah, you brought up a good point, Faye. Sean, I mean, it's great to know what you're saying is true, and I agree with everything you're saying, by the way, because the whole question's premise was the average Joe trucker who's probably watching, either now or on replay. But think about it. I mean, if you give everybody in the federal government the power to say yes or no, but you give them the power, but you don't give them the tools, what does that say about the way things are? I mean, because honestly, when you think about it, we're talking about pulling federal funding from, we're talking about pulling federal funding from the states that the federal government thinks doesn't run their state right, with all this uncertainty about what it takes to do that. So what do you think there, Sean?
So what I think is, my honest opinion, this ain't factual, but I think we've allowed the power, the truck drivers and ourselves, we've kind of allowed this, the separation of, hey, the federals can do what they want, the states can do what they want, instead of saying, hey, you know what, we don't want that. We want it to connect together. And they've used, and when I say the federal they like to hide behind certain words like safety, right? And they say, oh, well, this is unsafe. We're going to step in there. And they're not saying this because it's a safety thing. No, it's a power trip, right? They're saying that non-domiciles are unsafe, but they have not yet actually did the study to prove that non-domiciles are actually safe or unsafe. We just put it out in the social media. So they're trying to hit on some. If I was working at the FMCSA and I was the top guy, the first thing I would have done is you spend millions of dollars on studies. That would have been the first thing. I would have went and got studies. Then I would have went back to the state and said, hey, look, here's the proof to show non-domiciles are unsafe. But yet what they want to do is do a fast action on it, right? So they want to put it out there into the social media and show a guy that's doing a U-turn. They want to do this, but the numbers actually does not show that non-domiciles are unsafe. What it shows is that we have a problem with states just giving whoever they want a license, because let's face it. I mean, honestly, automatic trucks these days, you can just put anybody in them and they got that basics on there. Now, is it training level problems? Possible. But again, without a proper study to show that, hey, we do have a problem and here is where it's at. We're just doing like we do every time. We just talk about it, you know what I mean? And try to hold them back. So again, when you said, hey, are they attacking these sanctuary cities? 100%, because they can't 100% prove to say, hey, you giving this license out. This is how many deaths this came through it.
The term attacking was generic to the fact that I saw the news clips I did earlier. So apologize if y'all take it wrong. Chief Breitholder has been offering some really interesting comments, and this one highlighted down below really caught me. So according to the internet, federal money that they are threatening to withhold from the states is not the fuel tax money. It's the federal highway transportation funds from the general fund. What difference does that make in terms of this conversation, Sean, that you're aware of?
So what he's talking about is the bipartisan trust fund. Basically, that's where all our highway stuff goes into. By 2030, they're saying that's going to be emptied out. This is why they're trying to do toll roads. Because
the same purpose to Social Security.
Yeah, absolutely, we've wasted it, and and that's the bad thing. Like, we look at this 250 Build America Act, right? They want to give $6 billion to Trump to fund overseas stuff, and it's all like, wait a minute, guys.
Thank you for joining us. I appreciate that.
If it's coming from out of that infrastructure money, that money should go to where it belongs. And that's, if there's anything I could say when we talk about pulling away from federal and making it state licensings, we have to look at these things and say, hey, look, if they're going to waste the money already, $600 billion to send it overseas, what are they going to do when they have full power over it? Right now we have this left and this right kind of type deal. What we see in politics, when you have Democrats and Republicans fighting over something, if we keep the state level, we have the states fighting the federal part of it. Then we have federals fighting states. So, I mean, is it a good system? I'm not going to say it's the greatest, but I think it's more of, we have truck drivers have power and we have control. If we all was to unite together and say, hey, enough's enough, we want you to spend the money where it needs to be. And then we say, hey, we want non-domiciles or we don't want non-domiciles. But I think more and more people that get involved with this, we'll see a big thing.
I'm going to make a bold statement, okay? And it is probably going to set people kind of wrong, but here's my bold statement for you. I don't mind non-domiciled CDLs, okay? I don't mind, because I see a purpose in them, okay? But here's what I do mind. I do mind when people, on the whole, take advantage of loopholes and create a situation that creates an unsafe environment for the whole environment. In other words, if you want to have a way to get people into the business, that's fine. Support it. And I don't mind using anything and everything available to the person trying to accomplish a goal. But if that means you've got to overlook safety, training, quality thought behind making safe maneuvers when it comes to either legal maneuvers, qualifying, vetting, or training, that's where I draw the line. And that's, I think, where all of this stems from. Now, I'm going to gravitate into the final stage of tonight's show. We've run kind of long, so I thank everybody for your patience. But one of the things that was mentioned, and one of the things that's been missed in tonight's entire conversation, is the fact that the administration is now pushing veterans to become a large part of trucking, more so than they originally were, in replacement of those that were trying to get out. So actually, let me ask you a question. What would states need to do to make that a realistic priority and make it something that actually stems the tide between dereliction and safety? I'll start with you, Sean, because you've been quite passionate about this as well as anybody else.
So that's a great topic you bring up once again. And it's a touchy one, right? So we have to look at what we're about to do with veterans, right? And PSD, if you know what that is, as far as, and we put these guys into the industry of being isolated, right? Putting them out on the road for a long time. I got a feeling that this is another stepping stone for autonomous, right? So if we put this in here and we show that there's a lot of
Really?
mental health, absolutely, 100%. So if we put a lot of mental health issues into the trucking industry, now we can push our agenda even further and say, hey, we got a big problem with mental health, and this is why we right, and this is why we
because there's another fellow on this panel that's very passionate about mental health and other things. So be very careful with that. I think I see where you're going, and I kind of agree, but I'm hoping that's not what the administration's doing. Keep going.
Yeah, so that's why we stepped forward, and what we did is we put in how do you control it? How do you see where it starts at, right? Because a lot of people don't know it. We know what the end results are, but we never look at the beginning of it. And this is why we're pushing it so hard, is because if we do put veterans in, I think there should be something that they can actually say, hey, the seat, the vibrations of the truck, dealing with the shippers and being isolated for hours and hours at a time. How do you combat with that, right? So that's what our team did together. We said, hey, you know what? We know this is coming, but now they're going to open up that door. How do we welcome into our industry, knowing what's going on? And the only way to do that, right, is show an education thing and saying, hey, this is how you combat with it while we're truck drivers, and have truck drivers write it, not somebody at college or a student saying, hey, I'm just looking at numbers, but actual physical truck drivers that are out on the road that we see it every single day. So I do really think the veteran thing of opening up that door, it does have something to do with their agenda. And now if we can stay in front of it and say, hey, you know what, we're welcoming these guys in. Let's do a buddy system. We're acquiring a buddy system now. Most people don't like that mentor part of it, but as truck drivers, I mean, even Grumpy, right? Grumpy's no longer actually drive it physically, but he knows the ins and the outs of it. So why not have a person call him and say, hey, I need somebody to connect with. How do I do this? Today I'm sitting here.
I was glad you mentioned the buddy system because, the guy on the opposite side of the screen from me can definitely offer some insight about that. Isn't that right, Thumper?
Yeah.
When it comes to the buddy system, you've said things quite a few times on my show about that very thought that he just raised.
I mean, that's what it is. I mean, Sean's hitting it right on the spot. I'm a veteran. I've been down that. I've been down that road many times.
Yes, you have. Yep.
And if it wasn't for being able to reach out to Boss Man, Grumpy, a few of the other people that I've known and stuff like that, it's, it could be a lot worse for me today it could be a lot worse if I didn't have people to reach out like that. So yeah, I agree with you, Sean. It is a touchy subject for me on that one, but at the same time, yes, there should be someone that they could call or whatever. So
I think that opens up a great avenue for a future show. What do you think? By the way, if any of you watching have any thoughts on future shows, if you're watching this on the replay, please leave a comment. Let me know, because I'm integrated. As I opened the show and said, I'm integrating more of your comments and more of your thoughts about current videos and shows and things into future productions. So by all means, let me know your thoughts down in the comments below.
One of the things I'm going to say to that is, I do agree with Sean. I agree with Thumper.
Yep.
But when I came into the trucking industry 25 plus years ago, I met a lot of drivers that have been driving for many, 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 many moons. Yep. And those drivers, about 25 to 30% of them were retired veterans. Yep. So a lot of our truckers are still retired veterans that are out here trying to make a living because they don't get enough from their pension from being a veteran.
They don't.
And and they're not getting the support that they need. And like Thumper said, the mental health is a big thing. I ran across one guy. He was actually having a nervous breakdown one day, and I sat there and talked to him. And he was actually one guy that just started with our company. He was going to leave them. And I told him, I said, look, I'll talk to you. Let me go talk to safety. We'll see if we can get this figured out.
Yes.
I went in, had a talk with safety. Safety had a talk with him privately. He chose to go ahead and give him another chance because his mental health had gotten to him because his dispatcher he had at the time just did not understand mental health and didn't care. And so it helps to have somebody to reach out and talk to when you need it.
See, and here's my thought pattern, right, Grumpy? So if you're not behind the wheel, why can't we put you to work? You know what I mean? You've seen it. You know where it's at. Instead of saying, hey, you're retired out, why don't we take these drivers that's been in the industry for 30 years and let's put them behind a phone where they have a buddy system, right? So they can call and you could say, hey, you know what? I've been there. I've done this. I've seen where you're coming from. Here's what I would do, right? And say that driver, that veteran doesn't co-align with you, right? Your voice is kind of offsetting them. We send them to another one, right? Somebody down the line is going to be able to say, hey, you know what? This is my friend now. We're going to work through this together, and we're gonna fix the problem. Because that's the thing. Right? As we put them in here, we should be welcoming them. You know, again, when I say like RSO, when people say, hey, what's this? It's self-regulating. Our industry should be. We should be saying, hey, you know what? Veterans are more than welcome to come into this industry. But we all need that part, right? I mean, if it wasn't for a lot of people that I know, you know, when certain things happen, to make that phone call and say, hey, what should I do? What do you recommend? You know what I mean?
Sean, I'm gonna put stuff in the notes as we leave the show, but for the commenter that has a comment down below, let me give you the opportunity to verbalize. The man's asking about how he can get more information about what it is you do. That's semi-Corey, by the way. That's you know, and also a benefit to those watching the show. Tell us what steps they can take to get more information about what you do.
Sure. So we've teamed up with Jane and We the Truckers. If you go to WeTheTruckers.com, and it's called Behind the Wheel. It actually talks about the mental health in the industry. What we're doing is that we've connected with a bunch of people. We call it a roundtable. We meet every Friday, and we basically talk about the hard topics on our industry and how we can change them. We fight against toll roads right now, and how
similar to what's discussed here.
Yeah, just like how we're doing it just right now. Yep. And then what we do is so it's recorded, and then we take that information and then we put it together and say, how do we stop it? How do we control it? How do we have our voice into it? Right? Because I mean, let's face it, with government going in there, you know, OIDA, all these guys that are actually doing stuff, we don't have that funding, but we have the power of the voice, and our voice means something in this industry. We try to wake up everybody every day. We go on TikTok lives, and we actually have these conversations that saying, hey, we can talk about mental health without it going sideways, or we can talk about politics without being, you know, bad naming and having a disagreement. It's okay to agree to disagree, right? But what's not okay is us not having a voice in the industry that we should have some say so in it. Nowadays, I look at technology, right? We're wanting to put people on the moon. How come we can't send a text message to every single truck driver in this industry and say, hey, this is what we're about to do. What do you guys think? What do you think about autonomous? What do you think about allowing veterans to come into the industry? You know, how do we fix it? How do we do this? And they don't, you know, so that's what our message is. This is what we do. We go out with bullhorns, we'll protest, whatever we have to do to make it where our voice is heard. That's what we're doing.
Not to toot my horn here, but
we're
real quick,
barbecues as well.
Oh yeah, that's something else. We're in truck.
Thank you for that. Yeah, Sean.
Yeah, so we're starting something now on the 15th of the month, where we're actually having barbecues. We're getting more interest of people doing it. Getting out in the truck stops, you know, shaking them hands to our fellow drivers, bringing that brotherhood and sisterhood back into the industry. Meanwhile, while talking about these topics, right? So we use a QR code to get drivers to, you know, go look at it. It's Behind the Wheel on WeTheTruckers.com, to where they have somewhere that outlet, that vent, you know.
Would next Sunday be too late to actually use that code on my show?
No, it would be fine. Jane might even have it with her right now.
No, because between you and Jane, I want one of you two to actually fortify me with that QR code so that I can put it up on the screen here and actually bring it up. So this way, next week when you come on the show, I've actually got something to actually put up and show that gives them what they need. Because I mean, I'll put the links and stuff after the show in the show notes, but I think it would help, you know, the entire movement you're talking about, and I'd gladly do that for you guys. So
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the great part about this QR code, right? We found out that we can use it in TikTok. You can actually screenshot it and it'll take you right straight to it. I mean, this is something that no one's ever thought of or done before. To try to get all them drivers. I mean, it would be phenomenal. I mean, if we had 4 million truck drivers that we could click a button to send an email saying, "Hey, what is your guys' thoughts on this?" Because that's what we do, right? We find the problems. When we first started our lives, we started out with having drivers given 3 minutes of what's the things in the industry that would like to be fixed. Meanwhile, we're over there taking notes. You know what I mean? Like, how do we fix this? How do we fix that? And there's a lot, you know, and there's a lot of them that are simple with just with hitting just a click of a button.
Not to cut you off, but yeah, rightfully so. You and Vince and even Jane, a few times I've talked with you, you guys have been more than amply, what's the word? You guys have been nice and respectful to me when it comes to giving me a chance to talk about something. The other night, for example, on what was it? The last TikTok you did. I mean, you guys, you know, were patient with me as I rambled on about my thoughts about Indiana tollways. It was funny, but you know, just that originally wasn't the thing I came in on, but it was the thing I was passionate to talk about. So I think what you're getting at though is that's kind of what's happening here. So, but it's on a less public environment. It's more, you know, we're recording it to help you guys. So that's
well.
Am I wrong in that?
Yeah, no. So our lives we just kind of jot down. But so our roundtable is where we put our think tanking at. So the roundtable is where, like, okay, for example, with the mental health stuff, we had 15, 20 people in there, and we're like, how do we build something that doesn't say, hey, this is a bad part of it. What we said was, how do we fix it? Like the Indiana toll, right? The I-70. How do we get them to listen and say, hey, this is not a good idea to be doing this, right? The I-70 toll road. Yeah, right. So our roundtable is do we put it in social media? Do we send it to news outlets? Do we go straight to Sean Duffy, knock on the door and have a conversation with him? Do we talk to Congress? Like, that's where our roundtable comes into saying, hey, it's more behind the scenes. It's behind the scenes and actually putting the strategies together to actually fix it. Because if we did it on TikTok, you know, people would actually know, okay, they're going to do this. This is how they're going to do it. Or some things you got to be kind of silenced until the time that you need to actually move forward. So our roundtables are actually having those thoughts, the research in it. We're taking the 250 Build America Act and we're breaking it down point by point. You know, there's Jason Law in there, right? Jason Law, if anybody knows about that, but they're only putting one sentence of it in there. So when we see it, honestly, right, they're hiding behind Jason Law saying, hey, well, we're giving truck parking, right? But yet they don't tell you that they're giving truck parking to TA and Loves and all these mega these corporations that they make money off of us already, right? We got a broken system. Why are we charging for parking? You know,
we need to fix that system. Yeah, one show at a time. Not to cut you off, but Grumpy, did you want to add something to that real quick?
Well, it's just not really on the subject directly, but I came out and I started out basically like you were saying, talking with truckers. Okay, I began with one of our godforsaken, lovable friends that he moved on to better things. Good for him. But Driving with John and I started out talking for many, many, many times. Then I was having some issues with my group on Facebook. I scouted this gentleman out over here, which is Boss Man. I bugged him and I bugged him. And finally he came to me and said, okay, what's the deal? So we became friends. It's been almost 4 years now. And so it became me and him and Driving with John. Then I later started scouting out and I found a gentleman by the name of, we call him Larry the Trucker, which he's pretty busy anymore, so he doesn't get to join us very often anymore.
There is a point at the end of the saga, isn't there?
Yes. And then over here, this gentleman over here, Thumper, this gentleman over here, Thumper, joined in with us, and I found him, and we all became friends. Huh?
No, you did not find me. I found you guys through Larry.
Okay. Pardon me.
Grumpy, I already knew. Look, Grumpy, you're talking to
but anyhow,
master over here. I already knew you. Thumper found me, and he brought Larry into this. So don't even.
No.
Well, Larry was Larry. I brought Larry in
I
because Larry
found
wanted to
I
learn more
found
techniques.
I found this
Everybody's got their
show.
opinion.
I found this show through a post that Larry posted up saying, "Hey, come check out the show." I watched the show. I called in for 2 shows, and then I started coming on camera, and I've been stuck here ever since, and I don't know why.
Yeah, but I found
Love you too.
I could have sworn I found you on TikTok first, though. I stumbled across you because of
All
Larry.
right, we can go down the memory lane issue some other show. Look, tonight we've spent a lot of time talking about truck drivers, qualifications and CDLs, states' rights, licensing and enforcement. But I have to wonder, is trucking really the whole story here? And is what we're looking at really being told correctly? The purpose of this show is to really ferret out, talk with each and every person individually, and find out what you think is really going on the front lines of trucking. Now, do you think what's being said is the truth, or do you think we're watching just one piece of a much larger conversation? Well, in order to answer that, I want you to tune in week after week, get your piece, talk your thought, and make every thought count. Over the past several months, we've heard national debates about immigration enforcement, border security, voter rolls, redistricting, and all the stuff that's really hidden behind all the conversations we're currently having tonight on this very show. Because really, when it comes down to it, the open debate on whether the federal government has the power to make control over what states do is really the start and the end of this conversation. Those are all different issues, but they all have one thing in common. They're all part of a broader discussion that isn't going to be solved on one news show or one talk show. Let me tell you something. Every game of chess has pieces that move across the board. Some make big decisions. Some simply find themselves reacting to others. The pawns don't decide when the game starts, who the opponent is, or what happens at the end of the game. They're simply part of the game, and they wake up one day and realize that they're part of a game that they never really chose to play, but they're in anyway. Every good strategist understands attention is a finite resource. And the more time people spend watching one piece of the board, the less likely they are to notice the move going on behind the scenes. So let me leave you with this tonight. Could truck drivers, carriers, and everyone else on the ancillary sides of trucking even be knowing what the real truth is? And is there something bigger that all of us are missing? So if you believe we've missed something in this discussion tonight, I want to hear from you in the comments below after the replay. I want you to tell me what you think, and keep steady and keep tuned in to Trucking Frontlines for future episodes, because we're not going to let this go. We're going to keep talking about this, and we're going to keep hammering it out, because you guys are the ones that make the difference out here every day. Grumpy, you want to close up with any last-minute thoughts? Tell us what you're thinking about tonight's show, or
Well, my old motto when I was grumpy old trucker was, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But if it is, do your damnedest to fix it.
Certainly. Exactly. Boy, you're getting short and sweet all of a sudden. Did I offend you earlier?
Maybe.
Let me ask you this, Grumpy. Do you believe the discussion around commercial driver's license and what we talked tonight is primarily a trucking issue? Or do you think it's become one that's kind of a bigger part of a discussion that maybe we need to have more often?
Well, I mean, to be honest with you, it wouldn't hurt to bring it up more often, because it's not just focused just directly on us. I mean, it matters to a lot of people out there.
It does. Yeah, it does indeed. It does indeed. Jesse, any last parting thoughts?
I just want to thank you very much for having me on here. It's been a pleasure. And, I just want everybody to know that we built this platform for all of you.
We did indeed. We did.
So this is for you guys. So however we can help assist you,
Yes.
or if there's something you think needs to be added or changed to the website, Mike and I are always open to
Right?
suggestions. So, and are you Trucking City Media? I hope that doesn't.
Yes. Yeah. I was. In fact, I was gonna say and do during the close of this. Yeah, this is Trucking City Media, and the best way to get a hold of me or send me any story links, if my
Well, you're on the website.
well, yeah, no, I'm trying to be public about this, but I've got a graphic in the way, and I'm trying to navigate, which is what. There we go.
There you go.
That's truckingnews@outlook.com. That is my email address. If you'd like to know more about me or the sources that exist whole on this show, that is how you do it, and that is the best way to contact me if you're not already aware of everybody else in this panel. So, Sean, I'll let you close out this part of the show. I want to wrap up because we're way over 2 hours, which is way longer than I normally go. So it has been a wonderful show, which I'm glad you and Jane are both part of. So, yeah, tell us what you think about the ongoing efforts of trying to make people aware of the right story in trucking as opposed to the wrong thing.
Well, first off, thanks for guys for letting me come up and be part of you guys' show. It means a lot. You know, and I want to thank all your viewers for actually being here and watching and staying here for the 2 hours. You know, but I think our industry right now, as a whole, if we don't get involved, what's being sculptured down the pipeline is going to be created for the next 10 years. And when we came into this, looking into how we can fix the industry, and then listening to the stories of future truck drivers, you know, I keep on saying what we're doing is trying to pave the way for the new generation coming in, whether it be veterans, whether it be, you know, nephews and nieces and aunts and uncles, grandmas and grandpas, brothers and sisters, whatever they are. We want to give them something to come into and actually not have to be like beaten down with federal rules, because some of these rules that they have are just overwhelming. I mean, they don't really need to be there, and why they were put there. So these are the things that we're fighting for: better pay, put the power back into the truck driver's seat, you know, and that's us, right? So if we can put the power back where it belongs versus colleges and students and people that are actually never behind the wheel, they never drove, and then they're making the decisions for us. We want it to where the truck driver actually has a say so in this matter, and this what comes down the line. So again, I appreciate every single one of you guys keeping up. You know,
glad to have you on. We're glad to have you on, and I'd like you to reach out more and kind of convince Vince to show up once in a while, because he's an amazing personality. He's wonderfully passionate, just like you and Jesse. So I'd like it, Vince, if you're watching, you know, next show, you are more than welcome to come up here and, you know, certainly help us spread the love, man. So
yeah,
Sean,
we'll get Vince on. We'll get Vince on.
We are eternally grateful that you're part of the show. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, and when that being said, you know, every driver out here, just stay safe out there. I always tell everybody, open up the door and tell a truck driver thank you. That's the least thing that we can do. Bring the brother and sisterhood back in the industry. And all it is, it starts out with a simple conversation. I always tell everybody, if you don't know nothing, don't know what to say to a driver, just say, hey, how much does a polar bear weigh? Oh, enough to break the ice, and shake the guy's hand or the gal's hand. As we have women, as we have women come into this industry and then all walks of different lives, you know, it's our industry, and don't ever forget that. Everybody that's watching, this is our industry, and the power should be from the driver's seat, not the other way around. Congressmen and all that stuff pushing down backwards. We should have say so. This is our industry, and we're here to stay for a long time. You know, I just toured the I-80 truck stop again. I'll have a video up here pretty soon about it. But if if the souls that drove those trucks back in the day were still here in our industry right now, what would they say? And that's what I look at. All the people that has felon while they were driving, and paved the way to feed their family and have a roof over their head and all that stuff. What would they say? And where we're at. So that's what keeps us going strong. The people that support us, and get involved. I mean, it's real simple. Write your congressmen, senators, write even your county commissioners, right? All these people have the power over us, but yet they're using it in the wrong way. And it's time for us to. And it's time for us to change that. We just we all get involved, and every truck driver out there sends out a message or a letter, an email, make a phone call, telling them, hey, our industry needs to be fixed, and we want you to do what we paid you for.
I hear you.
That's what
Sean,
we're about.
Give us a web address where we can find you if we'd like to look you up outside of either this show or any other platform you're on. Let us know how to find you.
Yeah, so if you go to WeTheTruckers.com, you'll find me, you'll find Vince, you'll find yourself. There's quite a few advocates that are on there that are trying to help fix the industry. So WeTheTruckers.com, it's a good informational, but also get you connected with the right people. If you want to get involved, subscribe to their emails. We send out once a month to people saying, hey, this is what's going on, this is what's coming down the pipeline, this is what we're doing. So yeah, if you wanted to get with me, that would be the best way. I'm on a few other websites, but that's I'm on Pastime for Change as well. So if you made an account with them, all these ways.
Another fellow that has been on this show a time or two. So yeah, thank you. Sean, hang out for me. Do not leave. Hang out backstage afterwards. Thumper, I think you have been an amazing force. You've been with me since the start of Trucking City Media. Let me know. Today hasn't really been a glorious show. It's been a long one, but it hasn't really been all that much different than any of our shows in the past. We exist to tell everybody to do what we can to inspire you to ask better questions. Whether you're talking about elections, voting rights, trucking, doesn't matter, okay? The worth of the professional drivers is really where we shine through the most. You're passionate about, the mental health, the mentorship. I'm passionate about believing in America, believing in the right way to get things done. And my commitment, I'm sure you share it, Thumper, is that we're going to do everything we can to keep the conversation focused on what matters and give the average Joe trucker a place where your voice can be heard. Tell me your thoughts and how we can find you as we wrap up tonight's show.
You can find me on TikTok and YouTube, Thumper and Bo. Pretty simple. Yeah, I mean, I'm passionate about the mental health, the mentorship, the stuff like that. I mean, you kind of nailed everything right on the head on that one. I mean,
I'm into that.
We got to keep the conversation going, and if we don't talk about the issues, no matter how small they are, they won't get fixed. And I've always said it before. You can't just put new laws onto a system that's broken. We got to fix the system before we can start doing that. So that's a huge part right there. So I mean, that's kind of all I really have for tonight. It was a good discussion. It was a good show. I mean, it was a long show, but it was a good show. It kept it very entertaining. And
long but very valuable. We had a lot of good things to add and great guests every single one.
Yes, Sean, Jamie, Grumpy, Fate, Semi. Thank you guys. If it wasn't for them, it wouldn't be a show. I mean, you and I can sit up here and bullshit about stuff.
Talk back every day,
It gets boring, so we get more people in here. And if you guys, you want to join, click on that link. We're here. We want to hear your voice. That's what we do. That's why we have these shows.
And once again, anything we don't talk about here, I want you to put in the comments below. Let us know what we've missed or what you'd like to see more of. Because one thing is true: the less we say, the less gets done. The more we say, the more we're heard. everything we say is important. All we've got to remember is it's more important to keep asking better questions. That's it. You agree?
Well, yeah, exactly. There's no such thing as a stupid question. The only stupid question is an unasked question.
Exactly.
You know, there's people coming in here that don't even know anything about trucking but want to learn. Hey, watch the shows, ask questions. That's what we're here for.
Amen.
Hey, veterans, you out there, people who've been driving for 50 years or 20 years or whatever. Hey, we want to hear your guys' input too. So,
Yep.
you know, that's kind of all I really have for today. I'm sorry for being under the weather and not being very chatty, but you know, that's just kind of the way it worked out. So, but yeah, that's all I got for you guys. Like Bo and I always say, God bless America. 250 years. Let's keep going another 250. You, police, firefighters, military personnel, truck drivers. God bless you all, you guys. And hey, we don't do this just for us and our families. We do it for you guys.
That's it. Amen to that. Never a better quote said in my life. I believe 100% in everything you just said, my friend. Let me tell you something. Remember, guys, one important fact I stand behind 100%. And that's simple. The trucks, they may drive themselves, but it's you. The ones that drive them, you guys are the ones that make the difference. Subscribe, become a member, and look for a future show coming up. Until then, remember to keep them rolling.